Christmas is around the corner. And I just needed something that will make me feel good, Fingers Malloy.
Ho, ho, ho!
Still need something that'll make me feel good. Tea, drink, smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. And this, from the people at J.C. Newman, is the Toro number 3 from Diamond Crown. J.C. Newman does absolutely beautiful work, stellar work on a whole series of cigars. And on the Diamond Crown, there's a Diamond Crown, there's the Maximus, there's the Black Diamond. They did an entire rebrand. And I got to admit, it is beautiful. This is a Connecticut shade wrapper, twice fermented. As discussed, Dominican in the binder and the filler. Now, the number 3 will refer to size. This is a 6.5 by 54, which means it's 6 1/2 inches long.
T.
Always makes Fingers Malloy laugh. And the ring gauge is a 54. That's the diameter of the cigar or how thick it is around.
T.
Again, with the laughter. So a 64 ring gauge would be a full 1 inch around. Connecticut's are known as lighter cigars. Often they'll refer to as mild. Some people will refer to them as bland. Those people are awful, and you should stop being friends with them. This is actually a medium Connecticut right here with the Dominican chosen in the binder and the filler. What I like about this stick is that it is easy. Now, I will admit, I did the cut on this. You cut from the cap end, you light from the foot end, cap, foot. I cut a little too deep, and I'm unpleased. I am angry with myself on the cut. It's not the end of civilization. You know what I mean? I'd still smoke, so I'm still going to smoke it. But on a very personal level, it is just so outrageously agitating. Outrageously.
What's frustrating to me is you cut yours first, and you mentioned that after you got done cutting it, that you cut off a little bit too much there. And so I was conscious in my thinking saying, well, I don't want to do that. Well, I did that. And I cut off way too much too.
You want to get your notebook out. What'd you eat today? What'd you drink today? You want to write that down. Any spiral notebook would do. You always want to be taking notes on your cigar and what it is that you're experiencing. Then you take the cigar and you break it up into thirds. First third, second third, final third. Actually, I should go the other way, right? First third, second third, final third. Write down the flavor notes. What are you getting out of the cigar in each of those thirds? And then when you try this cigar a month from now, 6 months from now, whatever it is, you do it again. Take the notes, compare them, see where the through line is, see where your palate really is. We have just lit this up, Fingers Malloy. Even with the bad cut on the cap end, how you feeling?
Good so far. Like you said, we're just in the first third of the cigar, getting a little bit of leather, maybe a little bit of wood. Not a lot of spice, not really much in the way of pepper. So far, so good. You?
I don't know if I'm with you on the no pepper. I think that there is a presence of spice, and it hits on both sides of the front of the tongue. But I think you are absolutely on the leather conversation. In that there is a palpable richness, which I think for a lot of people smoking in Connecticut, they don't get to that. They'll say that maybe there's some cream or there's like a nuttiness involved in that kind of tobacco. No, this is more full, going on the tongue and into the pieces of the cheek there. So it's a little richer, it's a little fuller than some other things would be, but there is a little hint of a spice that exists on both sides of the front of the tongue. That's where I'm at.
Okay, well, that's how it hits you. That's not how it's hitting me, and that's what's great about cigar smoking.
We are smoking the Diamond Crown number 3 Toro. This is that USA Connecticut wrapper, Dominican in the binder and the filler, 6.5 by 54. First things first, we didn't get into the fact that it feels great.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice in the hand. It's got a very, very good weight to it. Not overwhelming, but certainly not a wiffle ball. And secondly, thinking of Connecticut's as oily is one thing. This has got a touch of the suede, man. This has got a little bit of almost like a velvet softness, like a thickness to the wrapper itself. And when you're looking at that foot end as it's burning, it's a nice contrast between the white of the ash and this brown, which is it's not pale, it's light brown, and I would say that there's a difference there, and it's just coming across and showing really and truly beautifully, not burning totally even at this stage of the game, but burning well with no issues in the draw at all.
No, not at all. And I was going to ask you, because you had that cut issue. Has that monkeyed with the draw at all?
Oh, that's a solid question, right? The further you would cut down on the cap, if you're opening it up more, you're going to be able to bring more into the palate. Remember, you're never inhaling, you're only bringing it into the palate, and therefore it would create a little more ease. And would that be bothersome? That's actually a great question. And is that a reason why maybe I'm going a little uneven here, because I didn't cut to where my standard feel is? I think we're talking about such small degrees. I can't imagine that it is affecting too much. It just more annoyed me that I cut a little deeper than I wanted to.
Yeah,
because I do like to cut shallow when I do a straight cut. So I'm not going to put it to that.
That's fair.
I don't think that would. I'd be pretending at that moment, I think.
You mentioned pepper. It's odd to me as we continue to get through the first third of the cigar. I'm not getting any pepper or spice at all on this.
You don't get anything on the left and right side of the tongue?
No, nothing at all. But one thing I am noticing about this for me is, I mentioned leather at the beginning and a little bit of wood. To me, that wood is picking up more. But it's just, and
that wood is not coming across to you with having a little bit of heat.
Mm-mm.
By the way, that undercurrent of heat is glorious. One of the things I like about this cigar, I like what this has to offer. First of all, 54 is a bigger size ring gauge, not usually where I like to be, but it's maybe the top of the scale of where I like to be. It works really well here. Really, really well, because I think what's happening is that Dominican binder and filler, right? What's inside, and the wrapper being on the outside, is really contributing more to the cigar. And I think it's contributing super well. And I'm getting that, when I say I'm getting that heat, I'm shocked, because I think that little bit of spice is kind of part of what makes this Connecticut much more different than other things you see on the marketplace. And I feel bad that you're not experiencing that. In all the time we have been doing Eat, Drink, Smoke, we have never once had a port.
Never?
As far as I know, we have never tried port wine.
You may very well be right.
I'm most probably correct. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. And with Christmas around the corner, it might be the kind of thing that after the Christmas meal, you sit around with the family, gather around the piano, play some carols, and have yourself a nice dessert wine, a nice port to celebrate the Christmas season.
Okay. Truth be told, you are much more of a wine port guy than I am. I am not a wine guy, but as you like to say on Eat, Drink, Smoke, Tony, you need to try all the things.
You need to try all the things, and I just want to say for the record, I know crap about port.
Okay.
Not a thing. First things first, P-O-R-T. Port is a fortified wine. It gets to an alcohol level between like 19 and 22%. So the way to think of port in general is that's the umbrella, right? It's like all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons. So think of port, right? That's this big umbrella thing. Then you've got different styles of port underneath it. Rose, white, you've got vintage port, ruby port, but as many people know it, tawny, Tawny. So this is the Yalumba, Yalumba. You're talking about, as they refer to it, an antique tawny dessert wine. So it's how this thing is fortified, how they get more flavor out of it, how they make that happen.
I have a feeling, because you just posed that question, you're going to find out on social media, and that's great. And we always look for people to reach out and let us know, as long as it's in a kind way.
Now, in this world of tawny ports, you have a couple of different designations. You've got the reserve, you've got 10-year-old, 20-year-old, and then 30 and 40-year-old.
And the Catane.
And Tawny Catane. Tawny Catane, for a lot of young men in Gen X, she's a coming-of-age story, is what Tawny Catane is. You know what? A toast to her, and rest her soul right there. So there are these kind of designations that take place with a port, and the age when you get to the 10-year and the 20-year, you're talking about just how these things develop. You would think of that as a bourbon as well. With age, you have more chance for the juice to meet the barrel and create more complex or unique or interesting notes here. Very often you see a port glass. This is the closest thing I had in the Eat, Drink, Smoke studios to a port glass right here. Just small, almost dainty, and a bit of that V shape. Like this is a little bit more of a wine glass, I'd say, than a traditional port glass. But this is the best that I could do. And fingers, sweet is an understatement.
Now, again, I freely admit wine is a world that I do not play in, as you like to say, Tony. It smells like red wine to me.
Nothing about this smells dry. I mean, this is just sweet on sweet on sweet.
Okay.
Right? Nothing about this is like, do you get are you getting any notes, any deep complexities from it? No?
Maybe a little bit of a dark fruit.
Well, I that I would hope.
But again, this is a whole new world for me.
Yeah,
I honestly, in my life, I've had maybe 3 glasses of wine.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wine's good. Wine's good. I don't drink much wine. I don't have the palate for it like I do for the bourbon and the rye. Part of this is that this is so, for me, it's so outrageously sweet that my nose kind of shuts off, right? I don't have anything to offer it. So I went to Wine Advocate. This is how they describe this tawny port: a medium amber colored with aromas of ginger, figs, and dates, intense, ripe, and very sweet. I'm sorry, I can't. After the very sweet, I lost all sensation in my nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just super sweet. But fingers, we try all the things here at Eat, Drink, Smoke. And maybe this is your new after Christmas drink.
Maybe.
Right? Put down the beer colada and pick up a tawny port.
No Irish car bomb for me this Christmas. It's going to be the tawny port. Okay. Mind opened.
Right. First of all, when you drink this, pinky out.
Really?
Pinky out, if you will. Yeah, that's how they know you're classy.
Fancy. All right.
Fingers, are you ready for this?
I've been ready for this all my life.
Yeah. Seemingly so. This is the Yalumba, Yalumba Tawny Port right there. That's what Fingers Malloy is going for. 19% alcohol by volume. Oh my gosh, Fingers he's a port guy. He's a port guy, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not terrible. No, that's very good. Well, first of all, it is incredibly sweet.
Right.
It has, listen, I'm not going to pretend I'm getting 30 notes off this. It's definitely dark fruit and a hint of a spice and maybe a hint of chocolate. Maybe.
Oh, that's possible.
But wow, and again, my wine experience is very, very limited. That's very nice.
I'm going in. The Yalumba, the Antique Tawny Port. This is a 375 bottle, not a 750. I'm going in.
It's going, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing the Sicilian Swish.
Yeah, it's thicker than wine. It has this kind of that fig. I think is a really interesting idea. Dates aftertaste is going on right there in the finish. There's a lot happening in the finish. A lot happening on the palate. We're gonna dig in. Eat, drink, smoke. It is your cigar, bourbon, foodie extravaganza. I'm Tony Katz. That right there is America's favorite amateur drinker, Fingers Malloy. And we are doing a port, ladies and gentlemen, an antique tawny from Yalumba, Yalumba, out of Australia. You're talking about a fortified wine, dessert wine, as it would be referred, and discussions of port and this region, this valley in Portugal, and think of port as almost a catch-all for other types of port. The Yalumba, coming out of Australia, comes in the 375 bottle there. MSRP $17.95, Fingers Malloy. As you're enjoying the port there, you seem surprised that you like it so much.
Yes, and again, it's because of my experience with wine in the past, which is it's very limited, and I have not been much of a fan. I mean, when I go to somewhere and I'm gonna have a steak, normally I will get a stout with my steak or a bourbon. I don't usually go for wine, so I am surprised by this. Is this? You have a little bit more of a wine background than I do.
Not that much.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a lot sweeter than some of the wines.
Yeah, by far.
Because dessert wine. See, my mind goes to soccer mom, wine mom, YOLO. I'm going to the soccer.
You're thinking
game.
rosés.
Yeah, okay.
Through a sippy cup.
Yes, exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, I don't know how anybody could drink more than this glass of this, because and it's like it says, it's a dessert wine. This is incredibly sweet. I'm enjoying it, but I don't think I could drink much more than this.
What I think is interesting, knowing your palate a little bit, of course, from doing this show, the finish here, the palate, the finish here has very much this date flavor. It's rich, and it's got this kind of this bitter hint to it, and bitter's not the best word, but it gets earthy. There's a little bit of mouthfeel going on in there. There's certainly a thickness to a port, and that's working for you.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's fascinating.
And is it just me at the end? There's a nice dry finish to it at the end, or am I just making things up?
I think what you're getting is the date and the fig. Those actual flavors, as described, it was described with having aromas of ginger, figs, and dates, right? And intense and ripe and sweet. But that sweet at the end gives way to this kind of earthy thickness, and it is a unique flavor. And I don't mean to discount it. It's never been my flavor, but I can appreciate it. So I don't think what you're getting is dry. I would love for you to take this and pair it against, I know this sounds almost heresy, an actual dry red. Like walk into a liquor store and say, this is what I had. Now point me to a dry red, and then compare it for yourself and be like, oh, that's dry.
Okay.
And then it, like, just like we've done with cigars over time, how do you actually pick out coffee? How do you actually pick out what is cream or kind of a nuttiness, wood versus cedar and things like that? It comes over time, and it comes through comparison. I think that's what you need to do.
We had a wine expert on, what was it, 3 years ago?
Talking about the one and only Drew Maddich?
Yes.
The great Drew Maddich?
Yes.
Good man. Good man.
And we had wine with him, and I enjoyed what we had. But and again, I know people who are probably screaming, like you said, that are port experts. This of all things is opening my mind a little bit to try to expand my palate into the wine world.
And your question was, I have no idea how this is going to pair with the cigar we're doing from J.C. Newman, the Diamond Crown Toro #3. That's the Connecticut shade wrapper. It is Dominican in the binder and the filler, 6.5 by 54. And allow me to be the one who says, oh yeah, that's perfect. The pairing is actually quite excellent, because in this cigar, as we've been smoking it, Fingers has talked about that leather kind of feel that's happening. I have gotten a slight pepper. There's been a wood tone and a bit of almond going on. It is just on the sweet enough, right, and without being an overpoweringly sweet cigar, to allow the sweetness to shine, of course, on this port, but it doesn't overwhelm because the wood here, I think, and I think, yes, that little bit of spice that you say you're not getting is keeping it on the straight and narrow. By the way, I like this cigar a lot.
I do too. And for me, the contrast between the sweet of the port and this cigar, it is bringing out to me a much more of that cedar in the cigar than I was getting before.
Is the cigar, in your opinion, drier?
Yes.
Which is an interesting way to think of a cigar.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Right?
a good way to put it. Absolutely.
So I never think of a cigar as dry. Sometimes I'll utilize the terminology of it's clean, right? It's a clean smoke, and sometimes that's because the flavors are not that prominent. Here, the flavors are more prominent, but it isn't overwhelming. I am not overwhelmed by the port in the cigar at all, and I don't think the cigar is taking away from the port. It's actually kind of a nice combo.
Yes.
That's going on. Let's talk about this cigar from JC Newman. It's the Diamond Crown Toro number 3. Is a 6.5 by 54, so it's a bigger cigar. Is this Fingers Malloy in your humidor for $19 a stick?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Me too. This is very, very well done. And I will tell you that just the other night, I had the Maduro version of this.
Oh.
I like the Connecticut more.
Really?
Yeah, I think that the Connecticut, and it could have been what I ate, could have been what I drank. It was not the first cigar of the evening. I'm going to have to give it another go for sure. This has more flavors I'm enjoying, and I like a Maduro. I like a darker, richer smoke, and not necessarily heavier. It's not necessarily going to mean outrageously full-bodied. It really depends on the cigar itself. But this is just playing nice, and because it's not playing as a mild, it's playing as a medium. It's you feel that it is there, that little bit in the cheek. For me, that touch of spice on both sides, the leather that you're talking about, so that richness. Yeah, this is well done.
It is.
This is very, very well done. The Yalumba Tawny Port is what we are drinking right here. This is $17.95 a bottle. Fingers is now a port guy.
Yep.
This is happening in real time. And from Diamond Crown, the Toro number 3, Connecticut. It's an excellent cigar. It really is. Find everything we do at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. This is Eat Drink Smoke.
Follow Eat Drink Smoke on social media, on Twitter at Go Eat Drink Smoke, on Facebook, facebook.com/Eat Drink Smoke, and Instagram at Eat Drink Smoke Podcast.